Okay guys, this is Astocky here. I'm just in a test world, just doing some quick test stuff, and what I thought I would do is just quickly demonstrate how to do some Railcraft things for those of you who either are new to my pack or are not really sure how to do Railcraft things, particularly with the new engines when you don't have Buildcraft installed. Basically, there are two kinds of steam generators you can get, the solid and the liquid. Now the solid is fantastic, it works really well. The liquid, not 100%, but I'll demonstrate kind of what does and what doesn't work in just a second. But basically, all of these engines need water and a fuel source. Now it's pretty easy to get a fuel source. You can either get coal or you can get coke. Coke works just as well, and the coke oven works just normal. The Railcraft liquid tank works perfectly as well. You can see there it's got 53 and a bit buckets in it, and this has got 9 and a bit buckets. So it works basically in the way that it should. The thing is though, to transport liquids you've got no Buildcraft liquid pipes, so you need to use fluid pipes. Now those are part of Redpower, and they work perfectly with almost all of the Railcraft items except that liquid furnace that I was talking about a moment ago. So what I'll just quickly do is demonstrate basically how you build a pump setup. So you need to have an infinite water source, the bigger the better. You place this item called a grate in the middle, and the recipe for a grate is just iron bars and a fluid pipe, and fluid pipes are made with brass and glass. So then we grab these pipes, and then you will also need a pump. Now this is a blue electric item, and it's made with a blue electric motor, 2 fluid pipes, and some iron and stuff. So I'm going to grab myself one of those. It requires blue electric power, so I've just charged up this little battery box here, set up next to it. Now I'll place the output pipe there. Now the input pipe won't join to here because that's not the top of it, so what I will need to get is either a screwdriver or the sonic screwdriver, and then rotate it until that little brassy looking section is on the top. Now my pipe will connect. The pump's not pumping because, like all good machinery, it needs a lever. There we go, one lever. Might see if I can just put that on peaceful to stop those slimes from annoying me. So there's the lever, you pump it, you can see it now starts pulling water out and filling up the water side. Now once it fills up, we can throw some coke in there, it will start burning and it will start producing steam. So let's say you had something like a rolling machine, which is one of the first machines you need to get started with things. You are going to need some power for it. So you might say, how do you power it? Well, that's where the engines come in. So you have the hobbyist steam engine, which is made using this crafting recipe: gold nuggets, glass, piston, and gold plated gears. Now these are made with just cobblestone and gold nuggets. Now the hobbyist steam engine is pretty basic. You have to put water in it, and you can either do that through buckets or through a pipe, and so I will demonstrate how that works with the pipe. You just grab your other pipe and bring it round, and you can see it's now got water going into it, and then you put a fuel source like, say, coal, and it will burn that coal. Once you apply a lever, I'm going to grab lots of them. So once you apply a lever to it, it will start to burn. It's got water, it's got heat. You can see now it's building up temperature. Now once that gets up to 100 degrees, which is the point at which water boils, it will start to make steam. You can see this one that's running over here is up to 280, 290 already, so it's building up lots of steam in it. And that gets me to the next engine, which happens to be a much better engine, so I'll demonstrate that one as well. It is the commercial steam engine. Now it requires iron plates, which means you have to have a rolling machine to start with, so you really need a hobby steam engine to start with. But you grab yourself your commercial steam engine. Now it actually needs steam to make it work. It doesn't actually have the ability to put water in, so that's where, again, the Redpower fluid pipes come in, you can see the grey steam flowing through, and this will start itself up, and you can see it starts to build up power, and it will keep building up power as long as it gets steam pressure. So the more steam pressure you provide it, the more power it will produce. Once this is full, it'll produce its maximum of about 4 Minecraft joules per tick, which is pretty good. This one here produces 1.6, pretty much as long as it's got steam and it's burned up all its coal, trying to heat itself up. Pretty much as long as it's got heat and as long as it's got water, it will keep building up this steam pressure, and the more steam pressure it has, the more output it'll put. I think once this gets up to 500 degrees, which is the peak for it, which is kind of what this one is almost at the moment, this will produce its full 4, and this one here I think will produce about 2 once it's fully up to heat. So yeah, you can see that the steam flows really nicely through this pipe here, so that's steam and water that flow quite nicely. Now this, the liquid fuel engine, doesn't seem to be liking me at the moment, so let's build another one. I'm going to need another low pressure boiler. There we go. So it takes water as well, and it produces steam, but it needs to burn a liquid fuel. Now this is the first bug that I've noticed, is that you can see the water will flow, but for some reason it won't actually register this as being a proper tank, and it won't actually fill it with water. It will though. You can see here I've built a little tank full of creosote oil. It will, however, if I run creosote oil, take the creosote oil and fill up. Downside of that obviously is you've got to manually put water in there. Now there's a way using deployers and buckets and retrievers that you could easily keep this stocked with full buckets, or you could use golems. You know, there's lots of different things you can do, because all you have to do with this bucket is just right click. I'm on creative mode, so right clicking won't work. So you right click, and it takes the bucket of water in, and it only holds 4 buckets of water, so it's not a huge amount, but it is a much more efficient boiler than the solid fuel design if you can kind of put up with the fact that it doesn't work 100%. But yeah, certainly this solid fuel one works really well, and you're probably going to get lots anyway when you're making all this nice coal coke. And speaking of coal coke, I'm going to put some of that in here because it burns for twice as long as normal coal, and that should really keep this steam pressure right up. So you can see this one's up to almost full heat, and it seems to be producing 1.6, so even if you're using Buildcraft, this is still much better than a normal steam engine at the expense of just needing a little bit of water. So that brings me to, you can see that it's draining out as it's using it. That brings me to the next thing about this. You can put a pipe on any valve that's attached to this tank and oil will flow through it. The problem is oil is actually flowing in the wrong direction here. It's actually flowing out of the tank into this particular coke oven, where it should be going the other way. Now I believe, now this is kind of the first time I've actually tested this, so this is kind of a new thing for me. I believe if you do it under pressure, oops, got to get back to creative. I believe under pressure it will actually force oil in the correct direction. This is just about, I believe, and it's kind of a bit of a hoping as well, because like I said, the liquid fuel engines are definitely much better. So we need a, that's a pretty inefficient pipe job there, but hopefully it should still work anyway. Okay guys, well here I am back in a different world. I had to delete the last world. Basically that was a Redpower crashed desktop corrupt the world bug. Basically what causes it is there's an issue where the Redpower fluid tubes, when they connect to something that it sees as being a liquid tank or a grate, it knows how to pump. When it connects to something that it doesn't know how to deal with, it crashes. And there are two items. Like if you connect it to something that is not a fluid item, it just won't work. Like if you connect it to a furnace, it just won't do anything at all. If you connect it to, well, it seems that if you connect it and try to force using a pump liquid into a tank, I think it breaks. Although it could have been that it doesn't like dealing with the liquid being pulled out of the coke oven. That could easily be the case. Again, that'll just have to be something that you do with buckets. The next thing that I know crashes it is if you have the magma smelters, and here's one for example. Basically the way these things work is you put lava in, so you just right click on them with lava, and the lava goes in, and you can right click on them to take it back out. But once you basically have lava in there, if we grab an ore, say a stack of gold ore, and throw it in, it cooks really quickly, and all at the expense of burning a bit of lava. Now the bucket of lava does not last as long as it would in a furnace, but it does last pretty well, and each time you right click on it, it will tell you how much fuel it's used. So I think I put 4 buckets of fuel in. No, maybe, I'm not even sure how many buckets. There you go. I just put another bucket in, and the fuel it now says is 2500. But yeah, it cooks really well, quite a long time. Not the hundreds of items you get out of a bucket in, say something like a normal, just a normal regular furnace, but it does last quite a long time. And you can see it's about to run out, slowing right down, because the fuel's down to less than 1000. If you try to use the Redpower pipes to pump the lava into this, you get the same thing. You get a game-ending crash. So while pretty much all of while pretty much all of Railcraft works with the fluid pipes, there's at least one case where things don't. So my suggestion to you would be to kind of stick with the minimum kind of uses of it. Like I said, I know that the tank works, but I would suggest to get the liquid into the tank, your best bet is to just bucket it out of the coke oven that's next to it. Now, because creosote oil is not a block you can place, you can't move it into the world, whereas these fluid pipes are really excellent for moving source blocks around, like Buildcraft oil or water, anything like that. They're really efficient at moving that. Not so good, it seems, at working with the coke oven. So what I'm going to do now is just do a quick test. Let's grab tank again, and let's grab some glass and some valves, and we'll just quickly do the same kind of setup, and that will let you know whether it's the coke oven that doesn't like it, or if I get another crash to desktop, you know it's an issue with the iron tank not knowing how to handle itself. So I believe these tanks, like most of the Railcraft systems, need to have a block spare around them. So I'm just going to standard kind of build. I like having a nice open window at the front so you can see the liquid going in. Put our grate on. Throw some blocks in there. It seals up and becomes a proper tank. Now let's for some reason a lot of the Redpower items don't show up in the regular creative. You have to go to the creative plus mode that comes with NEI. We want a bat box, a bunch of batteries to power it. We want a lever again. We want a pump, and we're also going to want a grate. So once again, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, and if this works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, I'm going to call that an end of the video. It's going to be a case of either make or break, I think, for this one. So Let's power this thing up. Chuck a couple of batteries in. That's plenty of power now. Where's our lever? We need a block. You'll do. Okay, that seems to be alright. Turn this on. Appears to be pumping fluid. And there we go, it's pouring in. So it is clear that the issue is with the coke oven, so don't try to pump things out of the coke oven. That would seem to be a game-breaking issue. Pumping into the coke oven seems to work just fine, but for some reason the out, not so much. So, I hope you guys have found this video informative, and I hope you use my experience with game crashing bugs to make sure you don't have the same problems, and that you have lots of good fun using Redpower and Railcraft. So again, thanks for watching. Astocky out.